Greetings and best regards to each and every one of you beautiful people, wherever you are in this beautiful world, dealing with the challenges of life as usual on a day-to-day basis, hopefully conquering them, making resolutions and moving on to make your life better and better, more relaxed, more enjoyable at every corner of it. Well, it's a big, tall order, managing ourselves, our feelings, going through life, understanding what's happening to us, how we can respond rather than react. And we've been discussing all of this from different parts of it regularly through this series of flow. And today we're continuing with the emotional flow. And emotional flow is the way that we manage our internal processing of information in regard with what happens to us from the external and internal position. So you can see that it's kind of complicated because we're dealing with a lot of information that they merge with each other and they combine with each other and they create confusing emotions that needs to be dissected into feelings, as we discussed in the last session. And these feelings are expressed, negotiated, talked about, and hopefully dealt with in a positive way rather than a negative way. Okay, today we want to continue with emotional intelligence, or in other words, EQ, which is in contrast with IQ. IQ is our intelligence quantum of being, and how we quotient of this intelligence that is inherited in us, and it has the possibility of expanding. We can manage that by calculating it, by having a certain number of IQ assigned at least within a degree, and we can kind of understand where we are. And for most average people that they contain an average IQ of anywhere between 80 to 110, this is pretty much relatively a possibility to have a high degree of intelligence and at the same time have the EQ that goes with it. EQ is not a contrast to IQ. EQ is not measurable. EQ is the way that we can manage, we can see how we can go over these waves of emotions that are coming to us, ride them, and come to certain shore of conclusion. Seriously, it's just like, if you're surfing or do any water activities, and you can see that I always post pictures of the water. The intention is that this flow is something that we can physically see in the ocean. However, this kind of a flow exists in everything that we come across. Around us, there are different frequencies, there are different wavelengths, and we're riding on all of these wavelengths. And some of these wavelengths are emotional, which are EQ, or emotional intelligence, is working based upon this premise of our riding the waves of our emotions. So how are we doing that? How can we utilize these waves in a positive way rather than a negative ways? Because the same way that in the ocean, if you leave yourself at the mercy of the waves are going to take you either into the ocean or just bang you, slam you into the shore, and it's not going to be a pleasurable enjoyment of the ocean and the waves. However, if you're a surfer, if you are having a device that you can float over this water, by learning how to balance yourself, by learning how you can keep yourself in a position of charge, control in a way, or managing, a better word for it, because the control part of it is to stop something, and then the management is to just jump on it and start moving accordingly in a way that you can maintain your balance, and then the result is enjoyment and coming to shore. So if we bring it back to our conversation about the emotional flow, this emotion is the wave that goes through us. If you get angry, for example, something is happening and you get upset, you get really hateful about something, and this degree of anger is an emotional reaction to a situation or many different situations. So underneath all of these emotions, we got to find the feeling. So if I emote anger, the feeling is I feel disappointed, I feel discouraged, I feel disconnected, I feel ignored, I feel disrespected, I feel not good enough, I feel challenged. So there's so many different feelings. I can name at least 10 more feelings just to build the components of this anger and how we are coming up with all of these eruption of accumulation of feelings. But now, if our emotional intelligence is high enough, if we work on this EQ, then we can manage this wave of anger. Okay, so when I'm able to take a deep breath, manage my bodily physiological reaction, process the information of this feeling and how this is affecting me, and then find solutions by the information I have accumulated from previous times, from educating myself, from listening to programs like Evolving Mind, we are able to manage the situation in a way that we can negotiate now within ourselves and with somebody else in order how to come to a better place of understanding and hopefully making it easier and less disruptive and annoying to us. Okay, so in order to manage this emotional being or increase the EQ, there are 5 concepts that we need to pay attention to. And these 5 elements are really important in our EQ or management of the feelings that are underneath these waves. Number 1 is self-awareness. So self-awareness is how I see myself in a situation, which means that I need to step out of myself. I cannot be within where I am right now, within the angry feelings and all of these contrasts that are pulling me to different parts and wants to choke someone or just run away or just ignore them or disconnect. All of these are happening at the same time, and any reaction that has in the past been part of our protocol, we use that reaction. So if I'm a defensive person and I'm not fighting, I'm fleeing. So I disconnect. I'm not talking to you anymore because you made me angry, but I still hold the anger inside and I move away from the situation. And at some other point, either I'm going to be exploding on you or I'm going somewhere else and explode on somebody else. So this awareness is required to know that, okay, I am angry right now, but I'm in a position that I can manage my anger by going through what I know, which requires you stepping out of yourself. Imagine that you go above yourself and you look at yourself in this situation and what's happening. Okay, take that deep breath from your nose into your belly, out from your mouth, and then just find yourself in a position watching yourself from a different perspective of what's going on right now. The self-awareness is really identifying what's going on. And if you cannot identify what's going on, you're lost. Okay? This awareness creates a more clear situation or brings clarity and transparency into what's going on. It's almost like you take the camera away from the situation and you bring the camera to a higher place that can see more and not just this particular incident. I think that's possible to do if you can see yourself separated from situation at least for a few minutes. Okay. Number 2 is self-regulation. Okay, how we are balancing, how we are managing, how we're getting on this wave of anger without letting the anger crash us into the other person or just take us back to the ocean of disappointments and uncertainties and discontentment. So these disruptive emotions need to be first of all stopped. Okay, so when you understand this is what's going on, okay, that's stop, and then going to your awareness, then you are managing it by the things you know. For example, if you're talking about anger, you can just shake your hands a little bit. You can just go from one side of your body to the other side, kind of make some movements to shake this off for a little bit, and then try to understand the other person, what's going on, how they are reacting to this situation. And before reacting to their reaction, understand that your job is not to react, okay? Your job is to respond. That is a huge difference. Okay, when we react, we are into our midbrain or the mammalian brain, which is reactive and just into a fight or flight position. But when we respond, we are in that aware situation. We are in the higher part of the brain, in our prefrontal cortex, as we can manage the situation with the facts, what's represented, what is there to be negotiated, and taking it from there. So we are redirecting or regulating ourselves by being able to manage it. We can suspend our judgments about the situation, not getting so deeply into why this person is doing it, rather than, okay, what is happening right now that has erupted this person, and how I can step out of it and encourage the other person to step out of it as well, so we can have more space to negotiate. People who are not reactive are more trustworthy. So if you want to have better relationships, if you want to be more successful in life, you need to understand that reaction is not working and your responses are really important. And if you have any issues in responding, well, yes, there is a big chance, because of your past and how you have reacted in the past, response is not a clear choice to you, and there is not much of a distinction between the response and the reaction. I really invite you to look into your reactions and understand that reactions are not proper for somebody like yourself. You need to just step back and see how you can talk about what's happening to you. The third one that we're discussing is your internal self-motivation. What is that? That means that I have the desire, I have the willingness, I have the curiosity to know that things can be different, things can be better than this. If I don't believe that, if I feel stuck, if I feel frozen into the situation, so the chances are that I'm going to be reacting again from this frozen place, and I'm not going to be able to make any difference. So the desire to change, wanting to be more clear about how life is playing and how it's going to help us to bring us back to balance, that trust in the system comes with this desire, because that desire is connected to the truth, to what is going on, and how we all blessed by having this magical flow that we're discussing. So that desire is really, you want to get on these waves, there is no reason for you not to go above this and enjoy the ride to the shore, right? Limitations should be out of the way, and you got to think capable of doing it because you want to do it, because you are intending to do it. I think that is a very good place to be motivated to take care of yourself. Have self-love. If you love yourself, if you care for yourself, if you see yourself as deserving goodness, you definitely would look into this a little bit differently, won't you? Okay, and the next one is empathy. Empathy is understanding how other people are feeling. So if I'm angry, if I feel anger, and then I see that the person across from me is angry, if my empathy is working, means I'm trying to understand what is angering this person on an emotional way, not in my mental way. Because mentally I can sympathize. I can say, yes, I can see this person is angry, and I know they lost a lot of money, or they lost a family member, and this person is really angry. Everything in his life or her life has gone bad. And yes, I understand that this person is angry. That is not what we are talking about. Okay, understanding is one thing. Empathy is feeling. Feeling is inside. That means you feel connected with the pain of the person. You can internalize this sensation of the person. So when I'm sitting with a client and they emote or they react anxiety, I definitely, when I'm empathic towards them, I sense that anxiety inside of me. I really feel that inside of me. My body resonates with that feeling. So this way I can totally relate that this person across from me is not feeling well, is anxious. And now instead of me reacting to this anxiety that the person has, I choose to regulate it by using some calm voice and the words that are relating and understanding this person's feelings, acknowledging where this person is. Empathy is really important. You know, in the words of Theodore Roosevelt, it's not important how much you know, it's important people know that you care. Okay, so people really don't give a damn if you know or you don't know, as long as they know that you care about what's going on for them. That's where you can build connection. That's where you can build relationship. That's where you can build trust. Empathy is a gift that we have, is part of that flow. And when you're not limited, when you're not restricted, when you're not rigid, when you're not frozen, then you're able to have more empathy. So you got to work on all of the issues in life that has entrapped you, has left you behind inside of yourself, trapped into your emotional reactions, and you would like to reconsider those. And the fifth one is our social skills, or how we relate, okay, which is a combination of everything that we have discussed. However, the difference is that this is more of a learning than everything else even. So everything else we could learn, but this one is more possible to learn by understanding the culture, understanding the communication style, by understanding what is proper and what is improper to do in situations. So I really hope that you're willing to hone in on your skills of relating, because when you are maintaining relationships, it requires this kind of skills. Acknowledgement. You need to acknowledge other people for where they are, showing them that you have empathy for them. You need to understand what's going on for you and for them. You need to process this by going through the events and connecting them and how things are making sense to you, and then based upon all of these, how you can remedy the situation by your offering, by your suggestion. You can always come to the skill of negotiation, which creates a management style for conflicts. So when you can, at work, let's say you have conflicts, if you can manage these emotions, it helps a lot. To be honest with you, all of these 5 that we spoke about are very helpful for your success, and especially at work, because at workplace, oftentimes we are around people who are not aware of any of this and they're reacting. And if you are more aware, you're more clear about your situation, you're not becoming part of that reaction, and you become a solid base, you become the trusted person in there. Well, all of these information plus more are available in Balancing the Wheel. My intention for these times that I spend with you, the book, everything that we do at Wheel of Wellbeing, is to make sure that every person around us is enjoying the flow. We are on these wavelengths, playing gracefully with life and getting the best result out of life, because life's purpose is for us to have joy and happiness. If you have any questions about any of these topics, I'm available to you through email, my Facebook page, and also on Instagram under Dr. Daniel Sadigh. Let's be in touch. Let's work together. Let's play together. Make this life a more beautiful place to live, and have our communities prosper from everything that we do. Blessings to each and every one of you. Seeing you on the other side of the flow next time in the recreational flow of things. And that's a fun subject to go forward to. See you then.